What's up? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, it's nighttime again, so we're putting in a ton of night hours this week. A lot of them I'm not even videotaping because I'm just straight up trying to get ahead in life on some things. Just sometimes you get feeling buried. I have way too much to do. I'm just completely swamped, so I've been trucking at it, long days, and just trying to get stuff done, not messing with the race car or nothing like that. So we're back on the truck tonight trying to make progress. I come out here and start pulling the radiator, and we got the new one in the mail. I was gonna take this radiator out and then film it when it got out, but of course, as always, nothing goes as planned. Something always throws you a curveball, always gets in your way, and no matter how hard you fight to get ahead, something always sets you back, it seems like. So what we got is these stupid freaking lines. Let's cut off this fan because I'm sure it's making noise in the background. So all of these engineers design quick disconnects because they are quick and helpful and easy, and they never ever are. So it's totally opposite. I looked at this, all week. I figured you take this little plastic cap off and the line pulls out. It'd be amazing quick disconnect. But no, of course, you take the plastic cap off and then you have to put another tool in there, basically like a fuel line removal tool. It's a special tool that has like a step down on it to actually disconnect it. So it's not convenient, it's not helpful at all, because for the average Joe like me or like you at your house, we have to go buy more freaking tools. So yeah, it blows. Of course, it is like 9:30 at night and I don't have nothing here to do it. And every now and then you'll get a nice radiator in the mail, an aftermarket one that will send you some cheap little plastic disconnects, but of course this one did not because it's 9:30 at night, so it's not going to be there. If I was working on this during the day with Darren was open next door, he works on Ford trucks, I'm sure there's probably literally one on the other side of that wall, but he's closed and does not live right near here. So we are up the creek without a paddle right now. What I'm thinking is I'm going to still move forward though. Your new radiator, okay, you have these pieces right here. Your new radiator has the same thing on the other side. Excuse me, that your line clips into, so they're already in there. You should never, ever, ever unscrew these because normally on most radiators, if you unscrew them, you can't get them back in because they're actually screwed in before the caps are put on. So I think what we're going to do for tonight is we're going to go ahead and unscrew them on the old ones since these are trash. And that way at least we can get our radiator installed and we can work still on our crash bar and everything. And then in the morning we can, change it up and go from there. The thing that sucks is, of course, the vehicle's halfway out. So I have to kind of make my mind up now. Do I pull it all the way in and work up here near the frame machine, which I normally don't like doing? I like working right here with the wind, a little bit of fresh air. Or do I pull it outside and actually work outside? That way when I'm done, I can just close the bay door down and I don't have to crank it up. Because when you disconnect these are going to be trans coolers or power steering cooler lines and stuff like that. So if you crank the vehicle up, of course, they're going to spit fluid everywhere. And this heavy thing, you're not simply pushing it around. It's always like the big ones are the problem. So if it's just a little car, it'd be simple just to coast it right out in neutral for tonight. But let me see what I'm gonna do, and don't got much quit in me, so I'm gonna keep on at it. All right, so like I said, I don't have a lot of quit in me, so we're gonna see if this works live on the camera. I have took a cutoff wheel and cut through that fitting. So my first guess was to take the fitting out of the radiator and then slip in the backside with the fuel line to tool. And I figured maybe it doesn't have to be stepped. If I can find my tool, I don't even see it. I was going to show you in case anybody is on the video that don't know what I'm talking about. It's a normal fuel line disconnect tool over here. So I figured I could maybe slip in from the back side of the line and get it. And I had a whole kit of the little plastic white ones. But of course, we're at the shop, not at my house. So I have no clue where anything's at here. So this is the only thing I could find. So I figured maybe I could slip in from the inside back here and get the little disconnect, to open up since I don't have to clear this little step right here, but that didn't work. So I said, okay, well, we'll test it on this line. This line has a slight bend in it right here. I actually just straightened it out. It was bent a lot more. So I took a C-clamp and put pressure on it this way to kind of oval it back out. And I think I'm just going to leave it, but it has another disconnect right there. So I figured we would test it on this line just to see if this works. And if it fails and we mess the line up, then at least we just have to replace this little line, which we already have to replace, or we probably could already replace anyway. But I honestly think I'm gonna leave it if I didn't mess it up, because I think that bin right there will still flow plenty of fluid. So what I did was I carefully cut it through like that on this side, and then the same thing on the other side. Put a screwdriver in there, try to turn it with my hands to bust it, you know, into the slot, but I couldn't get that to work. So I took my adjustable wrench and put my adjustable wrench on my screwdriver like that, and then turned the screwdriver with the adjustable wrench, and sure enough, it split open. So it's not all the way open, as you can tell, but we're gonna split it right here on camera, and we're gonna see if I messed my line up. We're gonna see if this works. See, that little sucker is tough, man. Look at all the bull crap inside of it, between O-rings and disconnects and everything that's supposed to make your life easy that does not. Man, it's hard to do one-handed. Let's see if we can do it one-handed and with my knee. Okay, this is hard to do one-handed. There we go. I love that. The sound of things that piss you off breaking is such a joy. Look at all this stupid fittings and disconnects. So we're good. We did not damage the line. It's not cut anywhere. Perfect, perfect. So now what I'll be able to do is take that one and snap it back into our radiator, our new one, because our new one already has the pieces in it on the other side, like I just showed, and we won't have to freaking have a disconnect tool. Now, obviously, if you're just disconnecting your radiator and move it out of the way and you're not replacing it, then obviously this method won't work for you. But if you're in a pinch and you're replacing your radiator because it is bad, this will work perfect. Just cut your line. Just be careful. Don't cut all the way through. See, it took a little hit right there too. Like I said, man, I think we're just gonna roll with this. We'll call tomorrow. I'll get this part number real fast right here, and we'll call tomorrow and see how much that is. I know Darren next door will have that disconnect. These are bolts from Harper. Harper put bolts every freaking where inside the front of this truck. She's got them hid. And we'll call and see how much that line is. If that line's cheap, then we'll borrow Darren's disconnects if he has it. If not, we'll go buy it, right? And we will go ahead and replace that. More than likely, because I think by the time I get this whole front end back together tonight, it's probably gonna be too late to put the bumper on. So let's keep getting at it. Let's cut this other fitting, get this other fitting out the radiator, and then we'll cut it later and install it. All right, so of course, more hidden damage. And the cool thing about my channel is I really don't have a reputation that I care about. So I will show y'all real life stuff, how I do it, and I don't care. So this is your fan shroud. You know, me and fan shrouds and radiators don't go good together from the race car. I tore up my radiator, custom built radiator on the race car with a custom built fan shroud. Y'all remember how that crap shoot went. So I went to take this out, and I may have, I'm not gonna say I did, but you know, it could happen to anybody. I may have got angry, and I unbolted the top two bolts, and then these were, you know, the traditional things where it slips down in there, and I got really mad because I was pulling on it and it won't come up. So I took my pry bar. I always like to keep a pry bar and a hammer nearby, and I took the pry bar and pry on it, busted the plastic on this side. The accident had already busted one on that side, and it still wouldn't come out. So then I realized I was missing two bolts in the bottom. So a lot of the cars that we put together, like I did one today, whole front end perfectly fine. The radiators just, you know, fan shrouds are just two in the top and then they come right out. Like most all of these cars that we work on are normally like that, but for some reason this one also has bolts in the bottom. But when I took it out, I realized that the accident had already busted this side up. So the bolt actually wasn't even holding in there. It was already busted from the accident. The other side the bolt come out of, but we had this fan shroud busted all up. So of course, when you take a hit, it goes back. A lot of times it busts the fan shrouds and stuff like that. But the whole top half looked good, and I kind of just rolled the dice, even though it got hit low, and assumed that it was usable or good. And it is usable. The 6.7 that I had, the black 450, I did basically the same thing. I reused a semi-busted fan shroud perfectly fine. So what we did was we come in here and fixed the cracks with some good old stitches. So we gave this thing zip tie stitches Turbo John style. If John watches this video, he probably will be super proud of me and my brand new piece of crap salvage title Superduty that I gave it zip tie stitches. So it works perfectly fine. All this does is funnel the air through. So honestly, don't overthink this too much. I mean, you could literally build a fan shroud yourself. We do it on race cars all the time. But I just stitched this all back together with zip ties. That way it'll hold. So it's good as new. Took care of all the cracks, got everything stitched up. Gonna go ahead and attempt to possibly put this thing on beforehand. I don't really know. I didn't watch a video on how it's supposed to be. And I will go ahead and look up the price on this out of curiosity to see what this costs. I flat out just don't have time to wait another 3 to 5 business days to get a fan shroud in, and I'm not buying one local. So that's one reason why I'm really using it. Even if this thing is cheap, I'll leave a price here if I can find it online of how much that new piece costs. All right, so here is our tie bar. Now your tie bar goes up top. The only thing this does is this bolts into your frame rails right here, left to right, and your radiator bolts into it from the back side right here. It also has your hood prop, or your hood latch that your hood ties down to. That's it. It doesn't really add any structure. I don't care what anybody says, because this is pot metal. So this stuff is not strong at all. I guess you could say that you could put a ratchet strap between there and it's going to add structure. If you want to argue that, then sure, it adds structure. But I don't think Chinese pot metal is going to add too much structure. So all this is for, in my opinion, is just to hang stuff on, hang the radiator on, put hood latch on, blah, blah, blah. The stuff is actually pretty weak. So when it got hit, it went inwards and it cracked it, but not all the way through. As soon as I took it off, I put it on my knee to try to just bend it back the other way, you know, like you would do aluminum, even though it is pot metal. And sure enough, it just immediately just popped right in half, which is what Mike said that it would do. Man, look like I done messed my radiator up. A little piece of scrap metal. I'm paranoid after the race car, y'all. But not paranoid enough to be careful, obviously, because that's my style. So what we've done is went in here and scab this thing. So this thing OEM on eBay is $400. A used takeoff one on eBay is $500 for just this tie bar, this piece that you see laying right here on the table. Okay, I don't know what you're gonna pay for it for the dealership. So if y'all are into paying $400 or $500, if that's your thing for Chinese pot metal, or I think Fords are made in Mexico actually, wherever, I don't think this is made in America. If you're into paying $400 or $500 for pot metal, have at it, do your thing, man. Me, I'm not. So what we did was we threw the scabs on. Now, when I had talked to Mike about this and I had done the original video, you know, I hashed things back and forth with Mike because Mike has an excellent fabricator brain. I told him that I was going to use panel bond. You know, the problem with panel bond is that it is about $70 a tube for the actual panel bond. So if you use too much of it, you kind of defeated the purpose of just buying, you know, something out the gate. And I was like, I was going to do probably aluminum and through bolt it. And Mike was like, no, man, just get it back straight and put the, you know, your aluminum on it and just hit it with some rivets. So I try to use my little 1/8" rivets, but of course, you know, they're not long enough because I'm just using what I got laying around the shop. So we burned up some of these big ones out, this variety pack. So I guess that size is 3/16. Yeah, so we used 3/16 pop rivets for it, and that's the first time I've ever used rivets that big. Normally I don't. Normally I use the little 1/8 ones. These suckers are big. My little Harbor Freight gun held up through the whole entire thing, and on the last pop rivet she gave out, something come out the end of this, I think, and shot straight up to the ceiling. It's laying over there somewhere, and I don't think this thing is going to do another rivet, but I guess we'll have to go back to Harbor Freight and get another one. Been a good little tool for the couple jobs that it lasted. So like I said, that's the first time I've ever done ones that big. Normally I use that guy for, you know, 1/8 rivets, but that's what I did, is just put this over the top, you know, over the bottom. And originally I kind of just lined it all back up. You might have, there's a slight gap in there. You can see it right there on the back side. So there's a slight gap in everything, but this being pot metal, when it comes apart, it kind of tears. So you're not really going to get it back perfectly tight. But I got as tight as I could and just kind of, you know, held it in my hands. And then I actually straightened my hood latch out and put my hood latch bolts in first because it actually split right down the center between them. So that held it together. And then I was able to fine tune everything and clamp these pieces of aluminum on there and get it all tied back together. So I don't think this is going to interfere with nothing, if I remember correctly. taking apart. I think we're gonna be perfectly fine. So we're gonna put this back in, get the radiator bolted back in. We're going on like 10:30 right now. I'm freaking exhausted, dude. He's like, whatever I'm working, I come in at 8 a.m. and been getting it to 10, 11 o'clock, you know, every single night. Last night went to bed at 2 a.m. It's really catching up with me. So I'm gonna get this thing back in, try to get this buttoned up tonight where this truck can crank up and it can go in or out. And then, you know, it's probably going to be all I'm going to do tonight, man. I had big plans to have the bumper on this thing. I mean, all kinds of big plans for tonight, but that looks like it's not going to happen. So let me get this bolted in and keep on trucking it before midnight. All right, so I didn't have time to record last night when I hauled tail out of here. It was like right after 11 o'clock when I got the radiator in. And when I come in the morning and Eddie opens the door back here and he's like, yep, a Courtney Nader went through here last night. Because they always give me crap about how big of a train wreck I leave the place. I told Eddie, I was like, I don't work late, or I told Eddie, I don't clean late, I work late. That's what I do. I don't clean late. I don't come here at night to clean my mess up. That's in the morning when you're recovering. You take your time, pick your tools up, and mop the floors. But we got the radiator all in before I left last night, and then like I showed y'all the patch job. Looks kind of ghetto just sitting here like that, but I guess if it works, right? If it works, it works. It doesn't matter. We should base coat, clear coat, all of that.
I mean, might as well. It's already apart.
Sorry about all the background noise. They're out here at Georgia, the jungle, in our freaking bushes and trees.
First time in 2 years.
So I'm gonna get my stuff cleaned up, and I guess probably should power wash the floor. Yeah, I do storm recovery and clean up, and probably should power wash the floor right here and push it all out so it can be drying with some fans, and then get back at my normal 8 to 5 work. Maybe get back on this jewel later. Well, looks like more wrenches have been thrown into my mix. So with me going to Rockingham this weekend, I already knew that I wasn't going to be able to get done what I wanted to get done. Originally, I was going to work all day Friday night, but I think I'm going to go up there to help John out for Friday and Saturday and just not work on my stuff. But I go to put coolant in it this morning, and the lower radiator hose on the radiator is leaking out. So me and Mike took it back apart, looked inside of it. The O-ring is all there. It's not torn. It's really soft. You can turn it inside out and everything. But he said that the only thing he could think is that this aftermarket radiator, the spout of it is just a little bit, tiny bit smaller than the factory radiator. And so therefore that O-ring has 200,000 miles on it, I'm sure. And it's probably just formed to the old one, and it's just not sealing up to the new one. So I had to order that through the dealership. That was $8 my cost, and then the 2 lower lines right here that are damaged that we worked on last night, had to order them. Of course, the 2 lines, they come apart underneath the truck about like right here, but they sell them in a pair. You can't buy them individually, so you have to buy both of them. My cost is like $80 on that, so there goes another $100 this morning on the truck. I figured just wanted to go ahead and order them lines. They won't be here till Monday, so you might as well get them on the way, because I got a gut feeling what's gonna happen is I'm gonna go put the bumper on, and that one line that's kind of bent up and distorted, that it's going to be hitting the bumper and rubbing metal and then rub a hole through it. So I feel like probably should just go ahead and replace them lines so we don't have no issues when we're out of town or something crazy like that. So minor setback, but I guess it is what it is, right?